Enjoy this episode.
But daddy is a state of mind, you know what I'm saying?
Call me daddy.
We're live. We're rolling.
Nice, let's do it.
Kobos, love to have you, dude. Fucking,
Thanks for having me.
you're one of my favorite people in the entire hobby. No, I'm serious.
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Man.
I always tell people that our conversations, I told you this, I think, on the phone, like our conversations off live, like on the phone, could be full-blown podcasts. It's true. Like, I always like talk to you on the phone and we're like 30, 40 minutes in, and I'm sitting there going, we're just wasting good material right now. We're talking about the hobby. We're talking about life. We're talking about coins or metals or collectibles, shows, content, engagement, all these things. And it's stuff that people actually, I think, can gravitate to. So appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
What's new?
Well, I mean, I've been busy.
Yeah.
I've been trying to stay as busy as possible in the hobby. Definitely putting myself out there a little bit more
I've
with
noticed.
content. Other than that, I just do a lot of shows, buying and selling.
How many shows are you attending?
I'd say it's like 2 shows a month right now for me.
Really?
Yeah.
A lot of traveling then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm going up and down. I'm trying to stay in California for the most part, and Nevada. But, you know, I'm obviously mixing the bigger shows too a little bit. You know, I'd like to get to Dallas by the end of the year. And
I love
then,
Dallas is the best, man.
yeah,
my
that's a good
opinion.
show.
It's just like, it's not too big. It's not too small. It's got a good variety of everything.
No, I mean, I enjoy that show because you start seeing some of those East Coast dealers make it out there as well.
Mhm.
And, you know, when you're doing a lot of the West Coast shows, I love seeing the West Coast dealers too, but it's a lot of the same kind of, you know, inventory over and over again. And I'm already seeing their inventory online typically if they're putting it on IG or their eBay or whatever. So I'm already working with those guys offline. But I do a lot of vintage, and a lot of the vintage is on the East Coast.
Why is that? Why is all the vintage on the East Coast? Is it just smarter buyers?
I wouldn't say it's necessarily smarter. I think there's just always been, like, from a history perspective, there's been just more collectors of vintage on the East Coast, you know, all the way into New England and, you know, Philadelphia, New York, like those areas. Even down in Ohio, you know, I think they have one of the biggest vintage shows every year where it's kind of like just a straight vintage show.
Yeah.
So I should be attending those more often. But I'm already kind of working offline with a lot of dealers that are attending those types of shows if I can't make it. That's kind of how you have to be working it, you know, to consistently be bringing in inventory that's going to churn. You need to be working with guys that are doing the same as you. And, you know, I that's where I feel the pressure. You know, I feel the pressure where I just don't have enough mix of an inventory that's going to be liquid on the vintage side. I think on the modern side, you know, everybody's so stuck on case hits right now. And, you know, it feels like it's just a lot of the same kind of thing.
It's so much like product to product. And like, what's the new wave of case hits, or what's the new
Right.
product out, or who's the new chase out? And it's so volatile in the sense of like performance, right?
Yeah,
The
I mean, you
vintage is like,
Right.
guy's
And
probably dead. So, so there's really nothing you can go off of.
yeah. And I mean, on the vintage side, you know, it just depends what kind of vintage you're doing too, right? So, like, I'm starting to do a lot more like pre-war, you know, just kind of early stuff. If I can get my hands on it, it's just really hard to get your hands on stuff from, like, you know, 1909 and prior, you know.
1909.
Yeah. I mean, I have some cards right now, like I have old Judge cards that are from like the late 1800s right now,
Oh my
you know.
God.
So, but it's just not easy to get your hands on it. It's also from a selling perspective, you may not want to sell that on eBay, or you may want to put it on your website and let people know, but some of them are particular defined, like auction houses that deal in that kind of stuff. Those are the ones you want to work with.
Yeah, because certain auction houses are going to have more of a customer base tailored to the vintage stuff, right?
Right. Like for the old Judge cards, I'm actually working with an auction house right now based out of New Jersey. They're called For Love of the Game.
I think I've heard of them.
Yeah, and they deal with like, cards from the late 1800s. And then, you like if you're working with anything like in the 50s and stuff, most auction houses now are dealing in that, like your Jackie Robinsons and things like that. Everyone kind of wants to grab that kind of stuff,
Yeah, I'm kicking myself for not telling. Like I had Scrim from Suicide Boys. He wanted to go all in on vintage, and this was, I think, a year and a half ago. We were talking about,
right?
You were telling him get into some Clementes and like go all in,
right?
And he just like never did. And I'm sure just in the last year and a half, those have just gone crazy, right?
Well, high grade stuff is just so hard to get your hands on it. I noticed that at the National this past time. I didn't see as much high grade vintage out there.
Now
People are they're not putting it out there.
They're not putting it out. So
they're just not.
It's there, but they're just not showing it off. They don't.
Yeah.
They have no means of selling it whatsoever.
No, I mean, you see your dealers that are like, I know dealers that all they do is deal in the vintage, and guys that like are doing what I consider to be high grade or high expense kind of, cards, but the finer detailed cards like in vintage, guys are really into centering. That's like number one. Like like a 1 grade centered versus a non-centered, whether it looks like it got ran over by a car or not, will bring way more money than a non-centered like OC type of card. So I'm seeing less and less centered cards that are available. Just like fine quality type of cards. They're just, because there's a difference in vintage where in modern, like everyone's like, oh, it's a PSA 10, it's a PSA 10. Right? In vintage, it could be a high 7 or a low 7. It could be an OC 7. So there's guys are going to pay for eye appeal. They're going to pay for color. They're going to pay for centering. And so that kind of stuff, I'm just not seeing as much out there. Unless I'm working like with a collector that has been hoarding it. And they're ready to sell. And I'm feeling that in the next 10 years, we're going to really run into a lot of this. You're going to start seeing cards that you just would never see.
It's time for those people to move those cards.
Right.
So
And yeah,
the
boomers, like they're at an age where, if they don't capitalize in the next 5-10 years, then it's just going to be a hand-me-down, or it's going to get lost somewhere. So I think in the next 5-10 years, we should see more of an influx of stuff moving into the market, more stuff getting graded, possibly. I felt that in the last couple of years with raw stuff that I was buying. But it's having access to that is difficult,
How did you do on the I remember you telling me that story. You got to tell the story about the shoebox, the guy who came in with the shoebox. It's a great story, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's a story where actually I was uneducated as well.
Yeah,
because I never ran into. I knew about them, but there was a collector from Philadelphia, living on the West Coast, that came to me by word of mouth, and he didn't have a whole lot of time in his day. He money wasn't really his thing. It was more like, I got to get these out of the house, right?
Wife was probably saying, "Hey, man, get
them out. They're in the closet, what
are you doing with these?
Yeah, well, but he knew everything about them. It wasn't like he was coming to me and he was like, I don't know what I have, He knew what kinds of cards he had. He maybe necessarily didn't know the exact, value of them, but he knew exactly what he had. And he had like a heavy Philadelphia Phillies collection in this whole thing. But we're finishing up everything, and he's like, okay, on these boxes, I want 25 cents a card. On this kind of stuff, I went through everything and I priced it out for him. So I was like, hey, this is a $200 card. That's $100 or $300. Everything was raw, right? And he's like, I gotta go. I got 10 minutes. I gotta get out of here. So I made him, for me, a serious offer, you know,
I remember
like,
you telling me.
like it
because-
wasn't like I was cheap or anything. I was like, dang, this is a lot of money, you know, because it was a lot. And he was like blown away. He's like, really? You're going to give me that much? And I was like, yeah. I was like, I still have to grade stuff. You know, you
have to go through and do all the work.
Yeah.
You got to go through and get all the grading done. You could get crushed on grading.
100%.
And then you can be upside down. Or if, you know, cards come back and who knows, they could be trimmed. You don't know.
100%.
Or they could be altered.
Yeah, there's no time for that.
Because you're like, oh, I'm hoping to get a 7 on this card because it's a lot older card. And then PSA says, hey, man, this is.
Yeah, you know, you just mentioned like trimming, right? Like, you know, vintage guys that are grading that do a lot of it, you know, they're going to size a card before they send it in. They're going to put it, you know, just to make sure that it fills the requirement before they send it off. That's stuff I do for not only myself, but for a lot of people, because the last thing I want to do is tell someone that their card's min sized. Like, we could have figured that out early on, you know? But yeah, I mean, that happens like a lot. The min sizing, the trimming, the angle trimming.
Is that more?
So,
does it happen more frequently with vintage?
I would say yes. You know, there's a lot of that. Some of it is, you know, even the owners don't know about it. It was how they inherited it or how they bought it. You know, guys in the 80s, they were buying raw cards. Like, I have a collector that I buy some stuff from whenever he feels like releasing some of it to me. And, you know, just because he has so much of it.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, it'll be like, you know, I got 1,000 Joe Montana rookies. I got, you know, 2,000 Jerry Rice rookies. I got, you know, just, you know, and you know the differences of like a raw versus like a 10, right?
Yeah.
And it's like,
it's miles difference.
Yeah, it's miles difference, right?
It's not like today where it's like a modern $500 card and a 10 goes like for barely $1,000.
Right.
It's like barely 2x now.
No,
it's really wild.
That's exactly
Unless it's
it.
Depending on player, product, rarity of the card. But a lot of that times, that 2020, 21, 3x PSA 9 to 10, those days are gone.
No, I know.
It's gone.
It's completely gone.
Yeah.
But like, so I have collectors like that. Sometimes they'll be like, okay, I'm ready to get rid of this. I have guys that like have abundance, like trailers, you know, and they're just like, okay, you can come over on this day and like, we'll spend an hour and, you know, I might come away with a couple boxes that they're ready to let go. And their stories are all the same. It's like, my kids don't want it. You know, like no one's going to, because it's just, they might have so much of it where it's like they just don't want to deal with it, put it on their kids. You know,
or the kids don't have maybe the passion for it.
They don't, or
any guys just go, hey man, I want to go on vacation. Come clear me out so I can take my family on a vacation.
No, exactly.
Anything like that?
I mean,
or is it sometimes when they just need the money, or they just, or like you said, they're just kind of like slowly rolling it out?
I have certain guys that need the money, and then they are willing to sell some stuff or willing to put it on consignment, see what we get. You know, I'll do grade consignment as well. I will grade it first, and they'll maximize their potential. You know, we've done that sometimes where I'll grade it, and then they get the end value. They get a much higher amount of money because they decided, okay, yeah, I'll grade it with you, and then at the end I'll take my percentage from it.
Yeah, that way you guys are both kind of in the risk of the grading.
Yeah, and the grading will just get taken out of the sale of the card, and then, you know, we'll divvy it up. But for guys that want to do that, like, we do that. But yeah, there's guys that will, you know, they'll just be like, okay, take some. And they want, and sometimes they're like, I need that money, you know? and then you have guys that they're just like, I'll let some go. They don't need it, you know? And some of those guys have the crazy stuff.
And these guys are all over the country.
Well, I'm mainly dealing with West Coast guys.
Okay.
You know, and I'll maybe deal with a few guys over the phone in other areas of the country, but usually it's the West Coast guys that are, you know, in my neck of the woods or up the coastline.
Most of these guys, they know what they have. You're not going in, and some guy's like, I don't even know, and he's sitting on $1 million in cars, and he has no idea.
They 100% know what they have. Yeah, because they're collectors. Like, I mean, we're talking about to the detail of like little notes on every card,
Oh my god.
like miniature stickers of what they paid in 1975. And some, and the funny part about that is
2
sometimes,
cents.
well, here's the funny part. You can kind of see the cycles of like the card market too a little bit, right? Because there's cards that in 1989 had $25 on it, and right now they're $1.
Yeah.
So there's also that part of it where I have to give some bad news. You know, I'm like, I don't know how to tell you this, but is that what you paid for it? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, that's like $1 now, or that's $2.
And $25 in the 80s is, I mean, that's like
Yeah.
buying probably a $500 card today.
Is a lot. I mean, we were looking at what Jordans in like the early 90s.
It's
over
probably how everyone
500.
really feels like when they invested in Kenny Pickett.
God, don't
You know.
bring him up. Yeah, that's a, but in you know, I know we kind of segued a little bit, but going back to that collection, the guy from Philadelphia.
Oh yeah.
Right? That's where we were, right?
This is where we were at, yeah.
So
I get off topic all the time, but
No,
even by myself, because
I
my
had to-
brain,
I
my
had to
brain
remind
like,
myself.
never goes the same direction.
yeah, because some random person's gonna go, what the heck ever happened with that
Yeah,
conversation
yeah,
you guys are having? So in all these boxes, right, the guy takes off. He's like, okay, there's like a couple hundred more cards over here. Okay, there's 1,000 cards. Let's count them. And then he's like, okay, just give me like 25 cents a piece. Well, after seeing the whole collection already, I'm like, sure, why not? Okay. So that happens. And the next day, I'm like, okay, I'm going to start kind of going through what's in here. You know, there's the higher price items that I'd already kind of figured out. Okay, that's raw value. I'm going to look at these for grading, all that kind of stuff. I'd already kind of gone through that. I start opening a couple more shoe boxes at the end, the ones where he's like, okay, 25 cents a piece, right? They were all Redman tobacco cards, right? And they were all from like 53 to 55, 56, I want to say, was the last year that they produced them. And these are the cards that they used to put on in the plastic outside of the chewing tobacco packs, like
Yeah.
the big,
Yeah.
you know, the big packs. And so they're pretty big cards. Like they're not a normal size card. They're oversized, squared. And what makes those really special is the bottom of the card had a tab on it. And it was kind of like, it wasn't perforated, but guys would cut them off. And basically that tab on all of these was intact and perfect. Like every single card had an intact tab. Well, if you went on like eBay and it was a common and it didn't have the tab, let's say it was missing the tab.
Yeah.
It's still like a $10 to $40 card typically.
Mm-hmm.
But every single one of these was completely intact, never been cut. And I would say of the 850 cards that I got, of those, you know, there was maybe 20 that had creases. The rest were all like they were made yesterday.
No way.
Yeah, they were beautiful. And so that was like a holy wow, you know. And then you start looking at the players and you're like, okay, well, maybe it's just all commons, right? But by the end of it, I had, 12 Willie Mays in there. And you're starting to get all the big, the big guns were in there. And like Roy Campanella, the guys that are really sought after, Ed Matthews. So those are no brainer. They're going to grading. They're $40 oversized bulk, $40 a card to cement. And it produced a lot of low pops like out of that collection. Because in some of those cases, some of those cards, the highest grade they ever had was like an 8. Yeah. And I would say every card that I graded was from a 4 to an 8. Almost every single card. And even 4s are good, because they just like, and then I had, I must have had a couple hundred, maybe, 300 of those cards that I wasn't grading. And so, and I probably did the wrong thing in doing this, but I kind of felt like people should enjoy them, like not just me, So we started selling some online and even in some lives. Like I did a full-on Redman show on Whatnot. It was all
Singles?
Redman, like for
Just a
2 hours straight.
single show or just like or
Singles.
oh man.
And guys were like, what is going on here? Like you just don't see it. You know, it'd be like guys, you know, running a show on 1909, like T206s or something. You know, it's just like you might see you'll see them where they all look like they got ran over by a car and have tons of creases, but you would never see them like this, where even the comments, like they all. And then I would mix in some guys in there, and it would go crazy, you know. And we got enough people in the room to do it. It wasn't like there's 5 people in here that know about it, and Kobo's gonna get screwed.
That's the risk you run on Whatnot, right?
Yeah, so I mean, I like, you know, put it up for a week, and then I kind of was already starting to mix them in my vintage shows a little bit, and so guys were like, "Dang, these Redmans are crazy." I'm like, "You have no idea, dude. Like, yeah, this is your idea." And I wasn't throwing up slabs or anything like that. It was just all raw stuff on there, and then the slabs, like I still have a lot of them. Ones that aren't listed, they're just gonna be. Let's see how long I could hold this. And then some of the
slab itself bigger?
Yeah,
because of
they're like that big.
Because of how big the card is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a big oversized slab, kind of like a tall boy slab.
Yeah.
Kind of like that.
Yeah.
But that was like a wow moment, you know. It doesn't happen every day. You know, part of it was probably because he was in a rush. I also I kept in touch with him, kind of let him know he didn't care. He's like, oh.
Well, I remember you telling me like he thought he might have only had a couple $1,000s in cards.
Oh no, he got a lot. He bought a car basically.
No, I know, and you were like, you know, he was expecting just to get like $2-3 grand back in these cards, and what you sent him back, he was blown away.
Yeah,
he had no idea, and I'm sure his wife was like, "Oh, I'm glad I you know, told you to get those out of the house."
Yeah, I mean, there's probably that aspect, or just like
what could have been,
or it just didn't make a dent. But
yeah,
but he was ecstatic about it because you know, part of the story for him was he inherited a lot of that because he's probably like in his mid 60s, so it's like, you know, 50 something Redmans, like that's before he was even born or around that time.
Yeah.
So for him, it was like my dad gave me these, and you know, so it had a story behind it, and but it was all sorts of stuff he collected, and you know, the best part of meeting with somebody when they're going through a collection is when you're telling them, like, I'm wowed, but maybe they didn't necessarily think they had anything great, but I'm sitting there going like, because I can't lie to people about the quality of card they have or the rarity or whatever. Like I get excited, and I try to do this in the content when I'm talking to someone, like in a deal, so people can understand that when you talk to a dealer or you're talking to a customer from a dealer's perspective, don't just like demean a card, because people do this a lot in the hobby. They go, well, look at this corner, look at this. In vintage, if you start doing that, it's like you're gonna hurt someone's heart, you know?
Oh yeah.
Because it's like, I've collected this for 70 years, and you're telling me my card sucks, but for some reason you're offering me $3 grand, so it doesn't suck that bad.
Yeah.
And you know, so you hear
it's a classic hobby thing.
Yeah, the hobby thing's always like, let me look at this thing.
Yeah, Marcus really not that great for it, but I'll give you $2 grand for it.
Right.
It's like, oh, okay, you want it. Just say you want it. Say it's a nice card. You know,
no,
you don't have to talk down to me. I kind of do that with comps, but the opposite way. So I hit a big card on the live. I always be very conservative what I think it's worth, because then if it sells for more, they're way more happier.
Oh yeah.
And I've seen it with breakers. We're like, that's a $10,000 card, and then they sell it for $3,800, and then they're always coming to me, hey man, like this guy told me it was 10 grand. I put it up on eBay and it got 3,800. And I go, well, man, listen, I could have probably burst your bubble in the beginning and been like, hey, it's not 10 grand.
And this is the thing, you know, this happened at a show recently to me. There was a card that approached me. It was a Jeter card, a Jeter auto. It was like a 96 Autographics.
I remember that.
You remember that?
Oh yeah,
that chase, and it was a chase, right?
I think we ripped a box of it in Texas one time. We found like some random box from some caveman dweller in the Texas card show.
Well, you know how hard it is to hit that card, right?
Oh yeah.
So I'm at a show up in Petaluma in NorCal, and these kids approach me, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to buy this card?" You know, and it's the Jeter, you know, and I see it. I'm like, "Oh, what? Like, where'd that come out of?" And they're like, "We just opened this pack," like, and I look at the card, and it's in like a thrashed top loader. I mean, like this thing had been at the bottom of a bin or something forever. Like, it was all scratched up and everything. And so they're telling me the story, so I'm kind of taking it with a grain of salt. Like, you just pulled it, but then like this card looks like, I couldn't really tell. And for some reason I didn't pull it out. You know, I didn't like take it out I just felt like I shouldn't do it at the moment, because I don't know what's going to happen. It's in a terrible top loader. Like, if I start trying to move this card out of there, you know, like, I might damage it. So they're telling me the story, and the funny part about that card is it's only like $300 raw. Like, it's not even that expensive, which is like mind-boggling to me. Like, I remember how difficult it was to hit that thing, you know?
Yeah, and it's like his autos in like current products are doing more than that. It doesn't.
And
make,
this
it
thing's
makes no
on
sense.
card.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Dude, it's on card, beautiful auto on it. And so I go, "Okay, well, what do you guys want for it?" You know? And, you know, they're like, "Oh, $275." And you're playing the game a little bit, you know, I'm like, "Oh, $250." And then we met like in the middle, you know, like $260 or something. And it was like an easy deal for me, like no brainer. Even if this thing would have been ran over by a car, I would have bought it.
Yeah.
I wanted that card, right? And I was just looking at raws. I wasn't looking like at the graded or whatever. And at the time, I think it was in my content where I even said like, it's probably not a grader, you know, like it didn't look nice. It was in this horrible like top loader. And there's a couple things that happened from this encounter. One of them was, so I made a video that night, and the next day, everyone in the room saw the video, right? Everyone saw the content. And I get 7 dealers like, "You bought the Jeter?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And all of them were like, "I had an opportunity to buy the Jeter." Like, the kids went to every single dealer in the room. I must have been one of the last dealers they approached. And it was like no brainer for me. I was like, "I'm buying this. Like, I'll buy it full price." Like, I would have paid $300 if they were really pushing it, you know? And then they're all like, "How much did you pay? How much did you pay?" I'm like, "Oh, I paid $260. And they're all like judging their offer. You know, I was off by 20. I was off by this. There's that aspect of it. Maybe they did offer off by 20 or 30 or whatever. But at the end of the day, we're the ones that make the difference. Like, if you're going to talk to somebody and you're going to try to make a deal, this is when I talk about like how dealers talk to customers. Like, we want to attract people to come to shows. We don't want them to come and feel like, I don't know who to come to. I don't know who to talk to.
Or feel lost.
Yeah. And so you feel that sometimes, you know, you feel people that like they're approaching already feeling like it's not going to happen, you know? And the reality is like our approach shouldn't be that as a dealer. It should be like, I want to make this happen, or I'm willing to take the time. You know, I've probably missed out on some big deals because of it. Like, I'll get a guy coming over here to the right, and I'm dealing with someone maybe on a low end thing. And you cannot, like, I know it sucks, but like, you can't just like leave this person hanging because you're seeing something over here all the time. And it's difficult to do that, you know, but like, you have to have your conversation and make people in the hobby feel good about approaching you.
Yeah, of course.
And so that's something that like,
you don't want a barrier before they even walk up.
Yeah.
And they're like afraid or tentative to even approach a certain table. Maybe the person's not very welcoming. I've had that. I see that all the time where I'm like, this guy just doesn't even, you're here. Like, why are you even here? You don't even seem like you even want to be here.
Well, you know, I'm not trying to like talk directly to the camera or anything, but like, but you know, we have the dealers there's the good, the bad, the ugly, right? You have the dealers that have been dealers forever. And those are some of the guys I deal with. Like, I like dealing with those guys because I feel like, yeah, this is like what got me in the hobby. Like when we were like you as well, Frankensons, City of Industry,
man. Yeah.
you know, like that's where I grew up. There was nothing like getting dropped off when I was 7 years old on a Wednesday and a Saturday.
Dude.
You know, like my mom was like my
Yeah.
mom would drop me off, or I'd go with a friend. I mean, Talon was there too, Brian. That was like where we would just be roaming the place, you know. I could never afford to rip anything. So, you know, my allowance was enough for what? Like,
Pack.
yeah, you know, so I was like, oh, I'm going to buy singles and just try to keep trading up. And that's how I learned. But
When was that?
well, I was born in 84 and I was like 7. So, you know, it was the early 90s when I started there. It was, you know, it's not the location where it's at now where they bought like a Sam's Club. It was, you know, it used to be by like Carl's Jr. on
Yes,
Gale.
that was the best thing is we would go to Carl's Jr.
Yep. It was right
afterwards,
next door.
and we would open, Sleevey and I would sit there and open all of our packs and our boxes in Carl's Jr. while we're eating fucking bacon cheeseburgers, fries.
Dude. Well, you're lucky you're open packs and boxes because,
Well, I remember I tell the story. I think I've told the story 100 times. I really don't care, but 2001 was that was like where we spent all of our allowance money. We would scrounge up quarters and turn in quarters and whatever we can afford. And I remember the 2001 Fleer Glossy was our product. Fleer Glossy, chasing Chad Johnson,
Mhm.
Kevon Barlow, LT, Drew Brees, David Terrell was like that was just the class. Michael Vick.
right.
And I remember like Sleevey and I got $20, you got 20, let's buy a box, you know, let's buy
Mhm.
a box. And that was our start was 2001. I mean, I tell people I used to have an insane Vic collection, RPAs and patches.
Dude, that was my dude too,
rookies
man.
and,
I was
like,
all about buying Vicks.
dude, I had
Yeah.
a huge tub of rows of Vicks, all 2001 stuff. And when that dog shit came out, my dad was like, get rid of that. Get rid of that. And I think I probably dumped it for pennies on the dollar, just getting rid of it.
Yeah.
So, but that was Frankensons was where it all started, going in and
Mhm.
they used to, I don't know if you remember, but they used to have the Pac-Man.
Oh yeah.
He used to have just a tower of boxes
Mhm.
and all packs. They were all probably searched.
Probably.
I never hit anything
He
out
was
of this
there
bag.
as of recent. He was like in the back right, you know, because he obviously got Dollar Dan in the front.
Oh, Dollar Dan. Yeah.
But
I used to call him Dollar Dad because we would see him Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. And I'm like, dude, I see you just as much as I see my own dad. You know, hey, what's up, Dollar Dad?
Yep. No, I mean, for me, like in the early 90s, that room was like 90% sports. You know, it was the best.
Now it's
like 2% sports now. And
you have like where Dan is, that row, you have like 3 or maybe 4 vendors that have like sports cards.
Mhm.
And then there's one at the very end. This was the last time. I haven't been there in over a year. But everything else from there was Pokemon and the Yu-Gi-Ohs. And you got the whole Disney section now with all the Disney collectibles and purses and hats and ears and things that go on
I know.
backpacks, whatever they're called. And so, yeah, the whole collectible space has like transformed at Frankensons.
Yeah, and I mean, I kind of get it, you know, because I also get it for the area, the demographic of that
Mhm.
area,
Yeah.
what people are into. And I think when we were growing up, it was just you had a lot of the older dealers there, and then, you know, the rents go up, the economy changes, what's hot, what's not. People are like, I can't keep paying for my space, especially when it moved to 5 days a week or 4 days a week, whatever it is now. You know, when I was growing up, it was 2 days. It was just
Wednesdays
Wednesday,
and Saturdays.
Saturday,
Yeah.
and that was it. Wednesdays, I'd go like after school, basically, play sports, and then head over there in the evening.
We would drive from Marietta on Wednesdays.
That's crazy.
My dad, he would get off work and it'd be like 5:36 and be like, all right, we're mobbing to
Wow.
Frankensons. He's like, we're
Just
going
to get in there for a little bit.
Just to get in for like an hour.
Yeah.
Because I think they close at like 7 or 8 on Wednesdays.
Yeah, it was like 8 o'clock.
Yeah. And so we
Dang.
would drive all the way out there. walk around for an hour.
My gosh.
And then Matt's dad, Sleevy's dad, he was like the Beckett god. I gotta go get the Beckett.
Mm-hmm.
And he's flipping through, and he would sit there with singles and just go through row after row after row. And he'd find a card for 25 cents, and the Beckett shows $1, and he's, take this, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he was like that crazy.
Well, if you could be good at reading a Beckett, you can move in that room because, just imagine, like now it's at the click of a button now.
Card ladder and
you can take a deep dive in like a second. Like you could see. I mean, it's actually more complicated if you think about it, because it's like what auction house, because like vintage will be like, what auction house did this sell at? Oh, it sold at Robert Edwards auction in Texas. It didn't sell on eBay. It didn't sell because the vintage stuff will sell at all these different auction houses. You may miss comps because those auction houses are just not up,
Yeah.
Because you're not going to find them all on Card Ladder, There'll be some random auction house like For Love of the Game or like some small niche auction house that doesn't have that connectivity yet. So, but yeah, the Beckett was life, man. It was like you waited every month. Like for me, it was like, hey, Mom, can we go down the street, down to whatever it was? It wasn't CVS, but it was like, now it became a Dollar Tree at one point, but I'd go there and I'd be waiting like, who's on the cover? You look at that for like a second. Because I mean, I honestly, I probably have like every single Beckett in my office right now, like in plastic.
Yeah, my dad's got a couple graded ones.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, just older ones that it's like, he's like, I don't know why. I just bought these. My dad's one of those just like, he called me 2 days ago. And he's like, hey, I'm over at Barnes & Noble. And they got these Prism Megas. Should I buy them? And I was like, what are they? He's like, $60. And I'm like, what are you going to do with them? What are you going to do with them, Prism Mega? Well, I don't know. I'm just going to hold them. Dad, I said, Dad, if you're going to rip them, just rip them.
Yeah.
Like there's no holding that. There's no like hoping for something. They're not going to be $200 boxes anytime soon. I'm like, if you want to rip them, just rip them. I said, people are probably breaking them for $100.
Right.
What do you want to become a breaker?
Well, let's talk about holding for a second. Cause like that is one of the problems there. Like guys, if you're going to Target or Walmart and you're buying your wax to hold, don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't do it to hold because it's a dream. Like we all can dream. I have it too. I got wax, but like, it doesn't work well. You're going to lose more than you win. And by the time it does come around, if it ever does, on the hopes and glory of like these guys turning out, it's just, I'm kind of like completely against the holding game with wax now, unless it's wax that's already been held forever.
Yes.
And we're looking for Tom Brady.
Oh, yeah.
And we're looking for the guys, but I just wouldn't waste my time because you can go churn 100 cards by the time that box comes around. You can go make yourself thousands of dollars just by not doing it that way.
Yeah.
Just go flip cards. Like
I think that the hobby's gone crazy on that side of things. Is like just there are a younger generation, and I'm only 38. I still feel young, but there's the younger generation now that they're coming in. They have the ins with the repackers.
Mm-hmm.
They're going in and they're buying at 80, 85. Guys think that they're coming up at 80, 85. They're like, sure. And then they're turning around and going right to the repackers, and they're selling it. And some of these repackers are paying 100% comps. They don't care. They're going to build it into their repack system or the way they break, and they throw 3 repacks in with 2 boxes, and they're going to do random teams on Whatnot or these apps, and they're going to build it in, and they know, hey man, we're going to make 30% over whatever we pay for this. Doesn't matter. Like it's just built in.
Right.
And I've seen it. I moved a collection for a buddy, and I think he ended up getting like 92%. Because I went right to the repackers and I was like, this guy's got everything. And some of these guys are buying everything. I'm talking everything. You got guys that are doing repacks. They're doing $5 repacks. They're doing $10 repacks, and they're doing $2,500 repacks.
Mm-hmm.
So they will buy $10 cards at $9 all day long, because they're going to put that $10 card in a $15 repack and a $20 repack. And then they're sprinkling a $15 card in there, and then there's going to be a $50 card in there, and then there's going to be a 20, and they figured out. And the repack, I don't know if you've noticed this, but on TikTok it's gone. Like a lot of people have been getting called out for the repacks because they're just the whole division thing. And most of these guys are packing their own repacks. They know what's in there. They know what they're putting on the table. They know exactly. They can just call their buddy and be like, hey, you need to buy the NFC West. All right. There's a CMC Gold Kaboom in there. Like,
Right.
just buy the NFC West. Trust me.
Right.
It's $2,500. Just buy the NFC West, man.
No, I mean, transparency when it comes to that. There are certain companies that are being transparent.
Mm-hmm.
It feels that way, at least, because, it's hard with the digital way of buying anything to know if it's really real, like, oh, okay, that card disappeared because now we're down to only 30 left or 25 left. But like, it's just, I don't even want to deal with that. Honestly, it makes me kind of sad when I'm watching all this happening with the repacks, because it's taken away from collecting.
Yeah.
And
a lot of these cards they're just getting recycled back in.
That's all it is.
It's all recycled.
That's all it is. I mean, you have the aspect of like, you get the sellers that are like, the reason why I have this in my inventory is because I love this kind of card, and I always like try to keep that in inventory. Like, there's certain cards I always try to keep in my inventory. Like, you got to have a Ken Griffey Upper Deck rookie. You got to have iconic cards, because that's like what I grew up with, and that's what I like having.
By the way, Ken Griffey, I'll interject and you keep going. We need the Ken Griffey swing as the MLB logo. Can we please make it the MLB logo? Can we please update the MLB logo to the Griffey swing? Like, it only makes sense. I mean, it's the kid.
Yeah.
It's the greatest swing of all time.
I agree with you. Yeah.
I'm left-handed, so I'm a little biased on that.
No, I agree with you. And I mean, that's why everyone fell in love with it.
Yeah.
Like with him.
We all grew up with Ken Griffey Jr. baseball.
Yeah.
The little cheat code to hit a home run every time Griffey came up to the plate.
Yeah, and I mean, I have no problem with these logos changing over time. Like, the game's changing, and you want to keep people interested, and you also want people to learn about what's, who's like the recent GOAT. Like, we all know, okay, Jerry West, NBA logo man, but like, we're not trying to forget about Jerry West or anything, but like, Michael Jordan, kind of important.
The Jordan jump, come on, the jump man.
Yeah, I mean, that's
sick NBA.
Yeah,
logo.
that's kind of important,
Yeah, and that's how you kind of bring in a younger generation.
Yeah,
I mean, even everybody knows about Michael Jordan. So,
I would hope. I would really hope. But yeah, those are things like that. I think it's good to kind of mix it up, and people shouldn't feel like, oh gosh, like I don't like change, But like, we're seeing change in this hobby happening every year at a crazy pace. Even on the vintage side, I'm seeing it on the vintage side, and it's hard to keep up because you are chasing the repackers. I mean, the repackers, they're bound to get into vintage. They might be hoarding a lot of this right now. I have no idea, but somebody might be coming up soon. That's a major player. I see some guys doing it on a small scale. But like, all it takes is a couple major companies to start selling jackies, like 1950 jackies, and you'll see a little bit mixed in with some of these, like Courtyard. I see a little bit of vintage here and there, and I think Arena Club has done I see a little bit of it, but I just want to see that stuff kind of stay in the room, like when I'm in a show, like, have an opportunity to try to buy it, sell it, in some cases collect it.
Yeah.
So
we're going to wrap up here in a little bit.
Yeah.
What's one player vintage that you would tell people to buy? And what's one modern player or recently modern player that you would tell people, like, just collect this guy, just put him away and just don't even think about selling.
I mean, I'm biased on the vintage side because like I'm a Roberto Clemente guy.
I was just gonna say, yeah.
And he has a fascinating story about the kind of person he was. And you know, obviously he had this death at the end of his career, and so that's the reason why Clemente's like my only PC. And it's like you don't see a lot of the high grade at all with him. But what, like, if I was doing it on the vintage side, and let's say it's other players as well, everyone's just so heavy on Mickey Mantle for everything, you know, or Babe Ruth, or like the big names.
Yeah.
You know, Honus Wagner, let's get real. That's not what you're going to be collecting. Like, it's just, you know, one or two people in the world can afford that. So I would just be stacking up guys that are reasonable. I mean, there's a lot of big players from those days, like Warren Spahn. He's pretty cheap. He was a big time player back then. Stan Musial, you can still buy him for a decent price. Ted Williams is amazing. Like, you know, San Diego kid. Like, those are guys that, like, Ted Williams gets expensive, but you know, I like those guys personally, and you can find them for reasonable prices, buying them raw and just hoard them. And then for modern, I don't know, I'd probably, I mean, it's tough, but how do you get your hands on Mahomes for a reasonable price? Or, you know, those are guys that I believe in. But it's almost like unbearable to see those prices.
Yeah.
Like, I can't really buy it, you know, especially what I really want. So it's prospecting, like the stuff that you know about for baseball.
Yeah. Prospecting is.
So, I mean, I think I like that game. That's why I break with you. Because, I mean, that's the part that I like. I like having boxes of prospects, and you don't know when it's going to pop off. And we're talking about it. You're talking fantasy baseball, and I'm talking with DJ at the office about baseball. The guy's so knowledgeable. And he's just like, we need to get these ready. Like, this guy's okay. He's in AAA. Like, we're too late.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
He's moving up. Or
Yeah, I like that.
I know. I just felt one of my buddies, he used to break with me. He posted, he just was going through old boxes of singles, and he just comes across a true gold James Wood Bowman first auto. Because he probably at the time, because when that first came out, it was Khalil Watson. Everyone wanted Khalil Watson, Max Muncy. Ellie was there.
Mm-hmm.
But James Wood was like, oh, there's you never know. You never know. And now he's the dude.
But he's still reasonable.
He's still reasonable.
He's actually kind of reasonable.
And his superfractor's still alive.
Oh my gosh.
How is his superfractor auto have been pulled? I'm trying to, there's a guy here in Vegas, he's got 10 cases. I'm like, come on, man. He's like, oh, dude, I'm into it for so much.
22
Bowman, regular Bowman.
I have some.
Oh man,
Not a lot, but
yeah.
wow.
So where's the super at?
But yeah, he's still reasonable though. Like, his gold, and you know, I think they were going up for like a 9.5 BGS, like gold auto, for $6 or $7 grand recently.
Yeah, all it
So-
takes, like, he's the type of guy, if he was on a team that was fighting for the playoffs, his market would go up. If they could turn the corner and the Nats are good next year, they push for the playoffs. Like, that's all. It's so timing too on some of these guys. Some of these guys, you can be like, I don't believe in this guy, but he's getting called up. Boom, I'm moving him. I'm taking advantage of the market. I'm going to take advantage of the hype. You know, a lot of people didn't believe in Nick Kurtz, and then he came up and just started raking. And then you got guys just going through their singles boxes going, oh, I got an orange auto of that guy just sitting in a box. So the prospecting is always fun.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
you just never know. You never know. You got guys that are in their 20s with their Bowman first, and then you got these 17-year-old kids that are getting their autographs. They're from the Dominican or, you know, Venezuela. You just never know. I mean, I think you can, you know, bank on the Vlads and the Acuñas, because they have about 17 kids coming in. Vlad's got like 7 kids coming through the pipeline over the next like 4 years. So, but the prospecting's always been fun for us.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and that's that for ripping modern. Like, that's where I would want to rip is baseball.
I'm worried about the baseball stuff, because baseball is now, it's kind of overtaken basketball. like in the sense of like Prism basketball, it's like $550 a box.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, jumbos are like $750
Mm-hmm.
for baseball. Sapphires are like $1,100 a box. So when you like Prism used to be the cream of the crop is
Mhm. Prism.
Now I obviously know like it depends on the class. I actually think the basketball class is very underrated this year. It's very spread out. It's
Mhm.
not like there's one guy or two guys that everyone's chasing and it drives the fucking price of the box way up and no one can afford it. But it's actually there's 5, 6, 7 guys that they're in good situations on good teams that you just never know. But it's just right now it's very affordable to rip basketball, and baseball has just been dry. Like this Topps Finest that just came out. Last year's Finest. I loved last year's Finest. It was so good. And then we were ripping this Finest year, and I'm like, man, why? Why are these $450, $500?
So you're
box?
just saying from a collector's perspective, it's gonna be tough. Like
Yeah,
to be
back in
ripping it a lot.
2020, people made fun of me for ripping baseball.
Right.
But we were ripping 2020 Bowman Jumbos for like $400 a box.
Yeah.
We were doing divvies at like 70 a spot.
Yeah.
And now you're like, oh, we're doing divvies, guys. It's $145 a
Right.
spot.
Yep.
And it's very hard in that sense. And then you got to get creative and go, all right, well, can we do tiered teams? Can we do random teams? Can
Yeah.
we do PYTs? And you got to kind of try to figure out who's chasing who. And so it gets it's trickier on that side with the baseball.
Because the baseball guys, they want to buy teams. They want to try to buy their teams.
Yeah, because you either have the guys who are chasing the dude,
right.
or you have like Ultimate Cards 5.
Yeah.
He's just going to buy the Giants. He's a scoops guy. I call him the scoops. He's the scoops. He just goes out. He doesn't care. I'll take the Giants. He rarely sells. I was just talking to a guy about this. He was like, what's the percentage on guys who just like they buy to flip or buy to hit the nuke and hope they cash in, and the guys that collect? And I'm like, man, I think it's 50-50. There's a lot of guys out there that they just want to buy their team. I'm a Nets fan. The Nets stink in every product for the last 10 years. Doesn't matter. He's buying the Nets.
Right.
So that's like, I like that side because I like people that are, I like those guys that are just like die hard. They want their team. It doesn't matter if they hit a big card or not. They want those cards. That's how I grew up. I collected Niners. Dude, I was buying Frank Gore like a madman.
Beast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Frank Gore like a madman. Couldn't stay healthy in college and then couldn't get hurt in the NFL.
Right.
But that was who, and I was at that point in time in the early 2000s. I wouldn't sell a thing. I was just hoarding everything, putting it away, hoarding it, buying Terrell Owens and Frank Gore and Garrison Hurst. And
Well, you're a collector.
yeah. And I was just putting everything away.
Yep.
It was not about what's this card worth. I don't care what it's worth. I don't care if it's $1. I don't care if it's $100. It's Garrison Hurst. I love Garrison Hurst.
Well, that's why, like with the vintage guys, it's easier. Like the majority are that. Like some of them are collecting certain players, but most of them are collecting teams. Like anytime I'm running a vintage show, it's mostly like, you got any Oreos? You got any Phillies? They just want to see their singles of their team. And that's pretty much it for the most part, besides trying to get the bigger guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just makes it easier.
That's
you know?
good.
Yeah.
All right, last question.
Yeah.
What's your biggest concern of the hobby right now?
I don't know. I mean, it'll be interesting with the repacking game, you know. That I think that's kind of driving everything away from dealers. So it's just like, you as a customer, what do you want? What do you want to deal with? Do you want to deal with somebody that's going to work with you within a certain market, which is what I try to do? I try to work with the same buyers. You know, they're coming back. Like, they'll give me lists. Like, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm trying to fill. So you have that aspect of it. And then I also have to like flip stuff. I have to move stuff. I have to keep it churning. And I'm concerned with, you know, there's people that say the repacking side is good, you know, because it drives prices up. But I think what it does is it also drives certain cards out of the market, and it's just harder to obtain, you know. And so I'm concerned about how that's going to all play out. I'm excited to see what Fanatics does. You know, I hope they make the right moves with new products.
I agree.
You know,
I hope that they have the right production people in there and the right design people in there. And I pray that they reach out to people that have been in the hobby and they pick those guys' brains instead of just getting this corporate person in a fucking suit and he's, oh, we're going to make this, we're going to make this, we're going to make this. And he has no pulse on the hobby. I don't want to see that. I want somebody that has a pulse on the hobby, that understands the collectors, that understands what they want to see, the type of case hits and the type of chases.
Well, I know what I want to see, you know. I want to see the stuff I grew up with a little bit. Like, I want to see the late 90s come back, you know. Like, I want those iconic inserts to come back.
Yes, like the designs, right, of them?
Yeah, like I want the Dunkin' Donuts to come back and, you know, the Topps Chrome, and I want all that stuff to come back licensed, and I would like a little more on-card happening. Like, it's just getting too trigger happy on the stickers.
Yes.
I know it's a cost thing probably, but I just want more of that, like, especially with big chases. Like, let's not see a sticker auto ever, you know? So yeah, I mean, I think they have a lot of the kind of the future, and the grading companies, I'm just not happy about it. You know, I'm not happy with PSA. I'm not happy with them having their hands in so much. I don't like that from a grading company.
Yeah,
I think you need integrity in the market, and we don't see this in coins much. You don't see the coin grading companies, but it'll be interesting because PSA is Collectors Universe. They own PCGS on the coin side, so that's PSA's equal. And I hope that they don't do what they're doing on the card side, which is, hey, we'll facilitate everything for you. We'll grade hard. You'll resell back to us. We'll put it on eBay. We'll cycle it. It's easy for everybody.
Yeah.
But the reality of it is it's something that I don't even think should be legal, to be honest. You know, I'm not trying to like blow myself up right now, but I'm not happy with that facilitation happening from a grader. I want the grader to just be grading, you know? And so it'll be interesting to see what happens there, because we all don't want regulation to come in.
No.
And at some point, how far are you going to take it to where?
Yeah, where's the line?
Where's the line? And I think we're getting there. Just my own opinion. And it's a little worrisome. I'm not going to worry about them, but I worry about what I get from them because I have to use them. You know, I have to grade with them. I'm starting to grade with others too. You know, SGC a little bit on the vintage side.
It's just hard, don't you think? 'Cause like, who's going to rival them?
Well, it's hard,
you know,
but
you have these companies that are coming up. They have the AI grading, and they're doing different things, and they're trying to incorporate the computer and non-human aspect.
Yeah,
I just don't see anybody rivaling them at all.
Well, I think that this is where the influencers can influence. This is where the power of individuals within the hobby, let's try to make a difference, is we can make a difference by driving markets. And I'm not saying SGC is PSA. They're owned by the same company.
Yeah.
Same people. So if they get turned over, then what do we have left? You know, I mean, maybe they're just going to resell them to someone else. I don't know. But I'm just a little bit worried about the grading because that's affecting a lot of us. You know, I had a Babe Ruth that came back a 2, and everyone that looked at it said it was at least a 4, and it was sized, it was looked at for specs, and it came back a 2. And I don't know if that thing's back on the market as a 4 now because I don't trust it.
Yeah.
It could be them buying it and regrading it. There's no transparency.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
agree.
there's zero, like, what is the transparency? Can you guys put that out there? I don't know. I mean, but that's kind of where I am right now because I give a crap about what I have. and also what happens to the customers. I don't want to see them go away.
Do you think that PSA should incorporate some form of back end to where they give you an explanation of why the card got that grade?
I mean,
They're
doing it if you pay for it.
Okay.
Right. So they're doing it at the higher levels.
You shouldn't have to pay for that. They should just be like, this is why I got a 9. This is why I got a 10. This is why I got a 6. This is whatever the grade is. And it should be a very explanational, like as soon as you scan that card, it brings up all the specs.
You see it in comics, you know, CGC in the comic world does it. It's at the top of every label, the clarity of everything. Is it white? Is it off-white? What is it? And it explains everything. It even explains an explanation of what you have, you know, like what character was in it. They take it that far.
Yeah.
And they don't charge more than PSA does, you know, so from an effort perspective, I would think their database could automatically do a lot of that stuff already. And if they're starting to use AI technology, that should be almost automatic to provide that clarity. But they're not. There's still a human element to the politics of how pops turn out. And we all know that. You know, if a pop's already out there and we're going to turn the market for a better card, I don't know. I don't think we should do that. And that's what happens, you know, and it sucks because the collector gets stuck with a better card than the one they're looking at selling for 10x.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what happens. It happens in vintage. It's happening in modern, you know, they hold all the coins, you know, they get to make all the decisions on really how the market steers. And then it goes to the auction houses and they put it up and let's see how it turns out, you know? So I'm not trying to cause a massive stir, but the stir's got to
stir it up.
Well, the stir's got to come. I mean, it's got to come because you know how many of us have taken it on the grading side, and transparency is the part that's really killing everybody, you know, and
transparency, authenticity. That's what this hobby needs. Like authenticity. Just be yourself.
Yeah. And I mean, we're dreaming right now because, you know, we can't. There's always going to be that corruption. There's always going to be people that are not trying to do.
It's always bad apples, no matter what market.
100%, and whatever you're doing. I mean, you see it in politics. You see it in everything.
There's bad doctors.
There's for sure bad doctors. I mean, I was in the medical field. I know. You know the good, the bad, the ugly, and it's always there. But if you wanna have some sort of reputation that's lasted, because we've seen people come and go in this hobby. 5 years ago, you remember names that were big. Where are they at?
Yeah.
You know,
more people have gone than come.
Right. And I'm like, I'm putting my foot down to say, like, I'm here. Like, I've been here. I remember when you came in my stream the first time, you didn't have to do that for me, but you came in and I'll never forget it. You came in and you saw that I was starting out and you were like, hey, I'll go live with you. And you had a bigger platform. You had a following. You rushed them into my room. Yeah. And I was like, honey, hold the hell on. I don't know. You know, I didn't know what to do, you know? Yeah. So like, I'll never forget that about you.
Yeah.
And like, that's why I wanted to be here
and
first, you know?
I miss that. I used to do that all the time with people. I'm like, hey man, like I see this guy, he's grinding. Let me just go live with him. Flood in like 30, 40 people, like have him fill a fucking break and like snap fill a break. And then he's like scrambling. Shit, I'm not even ready for this.
Dude, that was wild.
You know?
Yeah.
And then you're selling, and then I will tell people like, hey, just go support this guy. I don't care. Like,
right.
I if I'm not live, go support him. Go, you know.
Well, that kind of juju, it always comes back, dude.
Yeah.
It always comes back. Like, you may not feel like it's not going to come back, but people don't forget because they don't want you to fail. They don't want a person that does that for people to fail.
Yeah.
They're always going to support you. Like, they know when you're grinding it out and you're struggling. They know when you're holding product. You know, like, they may not know the line, but they start feeling it. And then they go, hey, we got to get in here. Like, we got to get in the room, or we got to show up to the guy's show. We got to go do a deal. Like, I'm feeling it right now. Like, I feel more of a presence at the shows and people coming by to say hi and people want to do a deal. And I think it's just what you put in is what you get out of it.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree. Well, dude, I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, man.
Man. Kobos Cards. Chris, you're a fucking dog. I love you. Always have. We've always had the best. We've always had a good relationship. And
yeah, man.
It's been very hard to come by in this space.
I appreciate it, man.
Appreciate it. We got to do this again because I had like 10 notes, and I think we talked on like 3 or 4.
It's
So
all good.
we got to do
man.
this again. Appreciate everyone listening, following, liking, sharing. Shout out to Hef. You ain't nothing but a fake ass friend, Hef. Later, guys.